Ethan Carter lived in one of the tallest buildings in Chicago. His home was not just any apartment. It was a fancy penthouse high above the ground. From his windows, he could see the whole city lit up at night. Cars moved like tiny ants far below, and the river sparkled under the streetlights. It was a place many people dreamed of living in, but Ethan didn't feel happy there anymore. Ethan was a rich man. He had made his money through hard work and smart decisions. Starting as a small business owner, he grew his company into one of the biggest tech firms in the country. People respected him. They admired his success. But deep down, Ethan carried something heavy inside him, something that no amount of money or fame could fix. A few years ago, everything in Ethan's life seemed perfect. He had married Mia Lopez, a kind and beautiful woman he met in college. She was different from him in many ways. She loved art, poetry, and spending time outdoors, while Ethan preferred numbers, strategy meetings, and staying indoors. Still, they balanced each other well. Their love felt real, strong enough to last forever. But then came the day when their baby girl, Lily, was born. That moment changed everything. When Ethan first held Lily in his arms, he noticed something he hadn't expected. Her skin was darker than his. At first, he thought maybe it was just because she was a newborn, but as days went by, it became clear that Lily looked more like Mia's side of the family. She had inherited her grandmother's warm brown tone. For most fathers, this wouldn't have been a problem. Skin color shouldn't matter when it comes to loving your child. But for Ethan, it did. Growing up, he always wanted to fit in with the richest and most powerful people. He believed that having the right image would help him succeed. And now, seeing Lily's skin, he started to worry. What would his friends think? How would his clients react if they knew his daughter didn't look like him? These thoughts haunted Ethan every night. He tried to push them away, telling himself that he loved Mia and would love Lily too. But doubt crept in slowly, eating away at his confidence. One evening, after another sleepless night, Ethan sat in his study, staring at a blank wall. His mind raced with questions. Could he really raise a child who might face judgment because of how she looked? Would people say bad things about him behind his back? These fears grew bigger until they overshadowed all his good intentions. Mia noticed the change in Ethan. At first, she thought he was stressed from work. But soon, she realized it was more than that. She saw the way he hesitated before picking Lily up or avoided looking directly at her. One afternoon, when Lily was only 2 weeks old, Mia confronted Ethan. "What's going on?" she asked gently, rocking Lily in her arms. "You've been distant lately." Ethan sighed, avoiding her gaze. "It's nothing," he lied. But Mia wasn't fooled. She waited patiently, knowing Ethan needed time to open up. Finally, after a long silence, he spoke. "I don't know if I can do this, Mia. I don't know if I'm ready to be a father." Mia frowned, confused. "What are you talking about? You've been excited about Lily since we found out I was pregnant." "I was," Ethan admitted. "But things are different now. She doesn't look like me. People will talk. They'll judge us, and our family." Mia's heart sank. She had hoped Ethan wouldn't care about such things. She had chosen him because she believed he was better than that. Now hearing him voice those doubts hurt more than anything else. "So what are you saying?" she asked quietly. "That you don't want her?" Ethan shook his head quickly. "No, it's not that. I need some time to think." But thinking only made things worse. Every day, Ethan wrestled with guilt and fear. He loved Mia deeply, and part of him cared for Lily too. Yet the voice in his head kept whispering that he couldn't handle the challenges ahead. The pressure to maintain his perfect image felt unbearable. One cold morning, Ethan made a decision. He packed a suitcase and left a note for Mia. It read, "I'm sorry. This isn't the life I imagined for myself. Please take care of Lily." Then, without looking back, he walked out of the penthouse and disappeared from their lives. When Mia woke up and read the note, tears streamed down her face. She held Lily close, feeling betrayed and abandoned. But even in her pain, she promised herself one thing. She would give Lily the best life possible, no matter what. With determination in her eyes, Mia packed their belongings and moved back to her hometown in Texas, leaving behind the city and the man who had broken her heart. As for Ethan, he returned to his old routine, throwing himself into work to distract himself. But no matter how busy he stayed, he couldn't escape the emptiness gnawing at him. Somewhere deep inside, he knew he had made a terrible mistake. And though he didn't realize it yet, that regret would follow him for years to come. Quen 2.5 Max 232. Image description. For Leonardo AI. A sleek, modern office filled with glass walls and soft lighting. A middle-aged man in a tailored suit sits alone at a large desk, staring blankly at a pile of papers. The room is silent, except for the faint hum of computers. Outside the window, the city skyline glows under a gray sky, reflecting his inner turmoil. On the desk lies an old photograph turned face down, hinting at unresolved emotions. Ethan Carter tried to forget about Mia and Lily. He told himself that leaving them was the right choice. But no matter how hard he worked or how much money he made, there was always a part of him that felt empty. His big office on the top floor of his company building had everything he could ever want. Expensive chairs, shiny desks, and huge windows that showed the whole city of Chicago. Yet none of it brought him peace. Every day, Ethan woke up early and went to work. He spent hours talking to clients, signing deals, and making plans for new projects. At night, he attended fancy parties with other rich people. They laughed, drank, wined, and talked about their successes. To everyone else, Ethan seemed like the happiest man alive. But deep inside, he carried a heavy weight. The faces of Mia and Lily haunted him, even though he tried not to think about them. Sometimes, late at night when no one was around, Ethan would sit in his chair and stare out the window. He wondered where Mia and Lily were now. Were they okay? Did Lily look more like Mia as she grew older? These questions popped into his mind often, but he pushed them away quickly. Thinking about them only made him feel worse. To fill the silence, Ethan started dating again. He met women who were smart, beautiful, and fun to be around. Some of them even liked him enough to stay for a while. But every relationship ended the same way. No matter how nice these women were, Ethan couldn't connect with them. Something was missing, and he knew exactly what it was. It was the family he had left behind. One evening, after another failed date, Ethan came home to his penthouse. The place looked the same as it always did. Clean, stylish, and completely empty. There were no toys on the floor, no pictures on the walls, and no sound of laughter filling the air. For a moment, Ethan imagined what it might have been like if he had stayed. Would Mia have decorated the living room with colorful paintings? Would Lily's school books be scattered across the coffee table? These thoughts made him feel both sad and angry. The next morning, Ethan arrived at the office earlier than usual. He opened his laptop and typed Mia Lopez into the search bar. As soon as he pressed enter, hundreds of results appeared. Most of them were news articles about her teaching career in Texas. Apparently, Mia had become a beloved teacher at a local elementary school. Her students loved her because she was kind, patient, and always encouraged them to do their best. Ethan clicked on one of the photos attached to the article. It showed Mia standing in front of a classroom, smiling warmly at the camera. Behind her, a group of children sat at their desks, raising their hands eagerly to answer a question. Ethan zoomed in on the picture, hoping to catch a glimpse of Lily. But she wasn't there. Disappointed, he closed the page and leaned back in his chair. Later that week, Ethan decided to visit Texas. He didn't know why he felt the urge to go. It was probably curiosity mixed with guilt. Whatever the reason, he booked a flight and drove to the small town where Mia lived. When he arrived, he parked his car near the school and waited outside. From a distance, he watched as kids poured out of the building, laughing and running toward their parents. Then he saw her. Mia stood by the entrance, talking to another teacher. She looked different from how he remembered her. Her hair was shorter and she wore glasses now, but her smile was still the same, warm and genuine. Ethan's heart raced as he watched her hug a little girl goodbye. That must be Lily, he thought. Lily was taller than he expected, with long dark hair and bright eyes. She reminded him so much of Mia that it hurt. For a second, Ethan considered walking over and introducing himself, but then he stopped. What would he say? "Hi, I'm your dad, the man who abandoned you." The idea sounded ridiculous. Instead, he got back in his car and drove away without saying a word. Back in Chicago, Ethan threw himself into work again. This time, however, things felt even harder. Every meeting, every phone call, every decision felt meaningless. He began skipping meals and losing sleep. Friends noticed the change and asked if he was okay, but Ethan brushed them off. He didn't want anyone to know how broken he felt inside. One night, unable to sleep, Ethan picked up the photo he kept hidden in his desk drawer. It was a picture of him and Mia taken during their college days. They looked so happy together, arms wrapped around each other, laughing like nothing could ever go wrong. Ethan traced his finger over Mia's face, wishing he could turn back time. He realized then that he had made a huge mistake. Leaving Mia and Lily wasn't just about skin color, it was about fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. All those fears had blinded him, making him lose sight of what truly mattered: love. But it was too late to fix things now, wasn't it? Years had passed since he last saw them. Mia probably hated him, and Lily might not even remember him. The thought weighed heavily on Ethan's chest. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to try, to make amends somehow, even if it meant facing rejection. Over the next few weeks, Ethan started researching ways to help others. Maybe he couldn't undo the past, but he could do something meaningful in the present. He began donating money to schools in low-income areas, funding scholarships for students who couldn't afford college. At first, it was just a distraction, a way to keep busy, but gradually it became something more. Helping others gave Ethan a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. Despite these efforts, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Mia and Lily. He wanted to see them again, to apologize for everything he had done, but he didn't know how to start. Should he write a letter, call them, show up at their doorstep? Each option felt risky, and the thought of rejection terrified him. Finally, one rainy afternoon, Ethan made up his mind. He wrote a short email to Mia, explaining that he wanted to meet her and Lily. He promised not to cause trouble and said he understood if they didn't want to see him. Then he hit send and waited anxiously for a reply. Days passed and Ethan heard nothing. Just when he started to lose hope, an email popped up in his inbox. It was from Mia. Her message was brief but clear. "We can talk, but only if Lily agrees." Ethan read the words over and over, relief washing over him. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a chance. A small step toward fixing what he had broken. As Ethan prepared for the meeting, he felt nervous and excited at the same time. He didn't know what to expect or how Lily would react. All he knew was that he had to try. For the first time in years, Ethan felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late to rebuild what he had lost. Ethan Carter arrived in Texas 2 weeks after receiving Mia's email. He drove slowly through the quiet streets of the small town, feeling out of place in his expensive car and tailored suit. The buildings were simple, the people friendly, and the air smelled of fresh grass and blooming flowers. It was nothing like the busy city life he was used to, but somehow it felt right. Mia had agreed to meet him at a local cafe. She told him that Lily wanted to join too, which surprised Ethan. He expected Mia to protect her daughter from him, not let her decide whether to see him. This gave him a tiny bit of hope, though he still felt nervous. What if Lily hated him? What if she refused to speak to him? These questions swirled in his mind as he parked his car and walked toward the cafe. Inside, the cafe was warm and inviting. Soft jazz music played in the background, and the smell of coffee and baked goods filled the air. Ethan scanned the room until he spotted them, a woman and a teenage girl sitting by the window. Mia looked older than he remembered, but her smile was still gentle. And then there was Lily. She sat across from Mia, looking up at him curiously as he approached their table. "Hello," Ethan said softly, stopping a few feet away. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his nerves. Mia nodded politely. "Ethan, thank you for coming." Lily didn't say anything at first. She simply stared at him, her dark eyes studying him carefully. Ethan felt exposed under her gaze, like she could see straight through him. He cleared his throat and pulled out a chair to sit down. For a moment, nobody spoke. The silence stretched between them, heavy and awkward. Finally, Lily broke it. "You're my dad?" she asked bluntly, tilting her head slightly. Ethan swallowed hard. "Yes, I am." Lily frowned, tapping her pencil against the edge of her notebook. "Why did you leave?" The question hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. He hadn't expected her to be so direct, but he couldn't blame her. After all, she deserved an answer. Taking a deep breath, he began to explain. "I was scared," he admitted. "Scared of what people might think about us because we're different. Scared I wouldn't be a good father. So, I ran away." His words hung in the air, raw and honest. Lily listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. "That doesn't sound like a very good reason," she said flatly. Ethan winced. Her tone stung, but he knew she was right. "You're absolutely correct," he replied. "It wasn't a good reason. I know that now, and I regret it every single day." Mia watched silently, letting Lily take the lead. She trusted her daughter to handle this conversation however she saw fit. For her part, Lily seemed to be weighing his words, deciding whether to believe him or not. After a pause, she asked another question. "Do you even know anything about me?" This time, Ethan hesitated. He didn't want to lie, but the truth was painful. "Not really," he admitted. "I've seen pictures online and read a little about your mom's work, but I don't know much beyond that." Lily raised an eyebrow. "So you just show up here after years of ignoring us, expecting everything to be okay?" "No," Ethan said quickly. "I don't expect that at all. I know I messed up and I can't change the past. All I'm asking for is a chance to get to know you, to make things right if I can." Lily tapped her pencil again, thinking. Then she glanced at Mia, who gave her a small nod of encouragement. Turning back to Ethan, she said, "Fine, you can try, but don't think this means I forgive you." Ethan nodded, relief washing over him. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust." Over the next hour, they talked more. Lily shared bits and pieces of her life, her love for science, her dreams of becoming an astrophysicist, and her passion for drawing. Ethan listened intently, amazed by how smart and confident she was. At one point, she showed him a sketch she had been working on, a detailed drawing of the night sky filled with stars and planets. "This is incredible," Ethan said, genuinely impressed. "You have real talent." Lily shrugged modestly. "Thanks. I like to draw when I'm thinking about stuff." As they continued talking, Ethan noticed something remarkable. Despite everything, Lily wasn't bitter or angry. She was cautious, yes, but also curious. She wanted to understand him, to figure out why he had left and whether he truly meant what he said now. Her openness gave Ethan hope that maybe, just maybe, they could build a relationship over time. When the meeting ended, Ethan stood up reluctantly. He didn't want to leave, but he knew he couldn't push his luck. "Can we meet again sometime?" he asked tentatively. Lily exchanged a quick glance with Mia before answering. "Maybe. We'll see." It wasn't a promise, but it was enough for now. Ethan thanked them both and promised to stay in touch. As he walked back to his car, he felt lighter than he had in years. For the first time since leaving Mia and Lily, he believed he had a chance to fix things, even if it took a long time. Back home in Chicago, Ethan replayed the conversation in his mind. He thought about Lily's sharp questions and thoughtful, Answers. She was wise beyond her years, and he admired her strength. He realized that rebuilding trust wouldn't be easy, but he was willing to put in the effort. Over the next few weeks, Ethan sent emails and texts to Mia, checking in and sharing updates about his life. He also started reading books about parenting and diversity, determined to educate himself and become a better person. Slowly, Mia began responding more warmly, though she remained guarded. Lily, on the other hand, kept her distance, replying only occasionally to his messages. Despite the slow progress, Ethan felt grateful for any connection they allowed. Each message from Lily brought a smile to his face, no matter how short or simple it was. One evening, she sent him a photo of a new drawing she had made, a rocket ship soaring through space. In the caption, she wrote, "This is what I want to do someday. Build rockets." Ethan replied immediately, "That's amazing, you'll be great at it." Though their relationship was still fragile, Ethan cherished these small moments. They reminded him that he was on the right path, even if the road ahead was long. With patience, humility, and determination, he hoped to prove to Lily, and to himself, that he could be the father she deserved. Ethan Carter had been meeting Lily regularly for several months now. Their relationship was still new and uncertain, but it was growing stronger with each visit. At first, Lily had been hesitant to let him into her life. She kept their conversations short and avoided sharing too much about herself. But over time, she started opening up, telling him about her interests, her dreams, and her struggles. One day, Lily invited Ethan to attend her school's annual science fair. "I'm presenting my project," she told him casually during one of their phone calls. "If you want to come, you can." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Of course I'll be there," he replied, trying to hide the excitement in his voice. This was the first time Lily had asked him to participate in something important to her, and he wasn't going to miss it. On the day of the science fair, Ethan arrived early, dressed neatly in a suit. He walked through the crowded halls of the high school, searching for Lily's booth. When he finally found her, his breath caught in his throat. There she was, standing confidently beside a large display board covered in colorful diagrams and photos of rockets. In front of her was a detailed model of a spacecraft, complete with tiny engines and solar panels. "Wow," Ethan whispered under his breath as he approached her. "This is incredible, Lily." Lily smiled shyly, clearly pleased by his reaction. "Thanks," she said. "It took me weeks to finish it." Ethan leaned closer to examine the model. "You built this yourself?" "Yeah," Lily nodded. "Well, Mom helped me glue some parts together, but most of it was me." "Impressive," Ethan said, genuinely amazed. "You're really talented." As they talked, other students and parents stopped by to admire Lily's project. Some asked questions while others complimented her work. Ethan watched silently, feeling a mix of pride and sadness. He wished he could have been there for all the moments leading up to this. The late nights spent working on the model, the brainstorming sessions, the triumphs and setbacks. Instead, he was only beginning to step into her world. When the crowd thinned out, Ethan turned to Lily. "Do you think you'll keep building rockets when you grow up?" he asked. Lily shrugged. "Maybe. I'd like to design them or work for NASA someday, but we'll see." "You'll do it," Ethan said firmly. "I know you will." Lily raised an eyebrow. "Why are you so sure?" "Because you're smart, determined, and creative," Ethan explained. "And because you've already proven that you can make amazing things happen." For the first time, Lily looked at him without suspicion or doubt. There was a flicker of trust in her eyes, and it made Ethan's heart swell with hope. Maybe, just maybe, he was starting to earn her respect. After the science fair ended, Ethan offered to take Lily and Mia out for dinner. To his surprise, Mia agreed. They went to a cozy Italian restaurant nearby where the three of them sat around a small table, sharing pizza and stories. For once, the conversation felt natural, almost like they were a real family. During dinner, Lily shared more about her plans for the future. She talked about her dream of studying engineering in college and how she hoped to inspire younger kids to pursue careers in STEM. Ethan listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and offering encouragement. He realized that Lily's passion for science reminded him of his own drive when he was younger, the relentless pursuit of something bigger than himself. Mia also joined the conversation, sharing funny anecdotes about Lily's childhood. Hearing these stories made Ethan laugh, but it also made him ache with regret. He missed so much of her life, her first steps, her first words, her early years of discovery. These memories belonged to Mia alone, and no amount of money or success could ever give him back what he lost. Later that evening, as they walked back to their cars, Ethan pulled Lily aside for a moment. "Thank you for letting me be here today," he said softly. "It meant a lot to me." Lily hesitated before responding. "You seem different from before," she admitted. "Like you actually care now." "I do care," Ethan replied earnestly. "More than you know. I messed up, big time, Lily. I left when I should have stayed, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to leave." Lily looked at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, to Ethan's surprise, she gave him a small smile. "Okay," she said simply. "We'll see how it goes." Those two words, "we'll see," gave Ethan a glimmer of hope. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was progress. And for now, that was enough. Over the next few months, Ethan continued to make an effort to be part of Lily's life. He attended her basketball games, helped her with math homework, and even accompanied her to a local planetarium for a special exhibit on space travel. Each experience brought them closer together, though Ethan knew they still had a long way to go. At the same time, Ethan began reflecting on his own actions and biases. He realized that leaving Mia and Lily wasn't just about fear, it was about ignorance. He had let societal pressures and outdated beliefs cloud his judgment, causing him to abandon the people who mattered most. Determined to change, he started volunteering at organizations that supported diversity and inclusion in education. He also funded scholarships for underprivileged students, hoping to give others the opportunities he once denied his own daughter. Despite his efforts, Ethan knew he couldn't erase the past. The scars of his choices would always remain, both for him and for Lily. But he was learning to live with those scars, using them as reminders of the person he used to be and the better version he wanted to become. One evening, after a particularly meaningful conversation with Lily, Ethan sat alone in his study. He picked up a pen and wrote a letter, to himself, to Mia, and to Lily. It was a letter of apology, reflection, and commitment. He poured his heart into every word, vowing to never stop trying to make amends. When he finished, he placed the letter in an envelope and set it aside. Someday, he thought, he might share it with Lily. But for now, writing it was enough. It was a step toward healing, toward becoming someone worthy of her trust. As he turned off the light and went to bed, Ethan felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, he believed he was heading in the right direction. Lily's high school years flew by faster than anyone expected. Before Ethan knew it, she was preparing for graduation. Over the past few years, their relationship had grown stronger. They weren't perfect, they still had moments of tension and awkwardness. But Ethan felt like they were finally building something real. He attended every important event in Lily's life, from parent-teacher conferences to sports matches. Each moment brought them closer together. The day of Lily's graduation arrived, and Ethan woke up early feeling nervous but excited. He dressed carefully, choosing a suit that looked professional yet approachable. As he drove to the ceremony, he thought about how far they had come since their first meeting in the cafe. Back then, Lily barely trusted him. Now she smiled at him when he walked into a room and even called him Dad sometimes. The ceremony took place on the school's football field, decorated with balloons and banners celebrating the class of 2030. Rows of chairs stretched across the grass, filled with proud parents, siblings, and grandparents. Ethan found his seat near the front where Mia had saved a spot for him. She gave him a small nod of acknowledgement before turning her attention back to the stage. When the ceremony began, the graduates marched onto the field one by one, wearing caps and gowns. Ethan scanned the line eagerly until he spotted Lily. She looked beautiful, her dark hair tied neatly behind her, her face glowing with excitement. When their eyes met, she grinned and waved slightly, making Ethan's heart swell with pride as the principal introduced each speaker. Ethan listened intently. Finally, it was Lily's turn. She stepped up to the podium, adjusting the microphone to fit her height. The crowd fell silent as she began to speak. "Good afternoon, everyone," Lily said, her voice clear and confident. "Today is a special day, not just because we're graduating, but because it marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another." Ethan leaned forward, hanging on her every word. He wasn't sure what she would say, but he knew it would be meaningful. Lily had always been thoughtful and wise beyond her years. "I've learned a lot during my time here," she continued, "not just about math or science, but about life. I've learned that success isn't just about grades or awards, it's about resilience, kindness, and believing in yourself, even when others don't." She paused, glancing briefly at Ethan in the audience. Her gaze lingered for a second before she continued. "I also want to thank the people who helped me get here. My mom, who has been my rock through everything. My teachers, who pushed me to do my best, and my dad, who came back into my life when I needed him most." Ethan froze, stunned by her words. He hadn't expected her to mention him, especially not in front of hundreds of people. Tears welled up in his eyes as he realized how much Lily had forgiven him and how much she valued their relationship now. "Life isn't always easy," Lily said, her voice steady but emotional. "But if you surround yourself with people who love and support you, anything is possible. So today, I'm not just celebrating my achievements, I'm celebrating the journey that got me here. Thank you all for being part of it." The crowd erupted into applause, cheering loudly for Lily. Ethan clapped too, unable to stop the tears streaming down his face. For so long he had carried the weight of his mistakes, but hearing Lily acknowledge him publicly made him feel like maybe, just maybe, he could let go of some of that guilt. After the ceremony ended, Ethan joined Mia and Lily on the field. Families gathered around, taking photos and congratulating the graduates. Ethan hugged Lily tightly, whispering, "You were amazing up there. I'm so proud of you." "Thanks, Dad," Lily replied, smiling softly. It was the first time she had called him Dad in public, and it meant more to Ethan than any award or recognition ever could. Mia stood nearby, watching the two of them with a bittersweet expression. She had seen firsthand how hard Ethan worked to rebuild his relationship with Lily. While she still harbored some resentment toward him, she couldn't deny the positive impact he had on their daughter's life. Later that evening, Ethan invited Mia and Lily to dinner at a fancy restaurant to celebrate. Over dessert, Lily shared her plans for the future. She had been accepted to a prestigious university where she planned to study aerospace engineering. "I'll be designing rockets. Someday," she joked, grinning at Ethan. "Maybe you can invest in my company when I start it." Ethan laughed, touched by her humor. "Deal," he said. "Just promise to name one of your rockets after me." As the night went on, Ethan reflected on how much his life had changed since reconnecting with Lily. He used to measure success by money and power, but now he understood that true fulfillment came from relationships, with family, friends, and the community around him. In the weeks following graduation, Ethan continued to support Lily as she prepared for college. He helped her shop for dorm supplies, reviewed scholarship applications, and even accompanied her on a campus tour. Seeing her excitement about the future filled him with joy, but it also reminded him of the years he missed. He vowed never to take another moment with her for granted. At the same time, Ethan kept working on himself. He volunteered regularly at schools and nonprofits, mentoring young students and advocating for diversity in STEM fields. His efforts earned him respect from colleagues and peers, but more importantly, they gave him a sense of purpose. Helping others allowed him to heal some of the wounds from his past. One evening, as Ethan sat alone in his study, he pulled out the letter he had written months earlier. Reading it again, he realized how far he had come since those words were penned. He decided to share it with Lily, not as an apology, but as a reminder of his commitment to being a better father. When he handed her the envelope, Lily looked surprised. "What's this?" she asked. "It's a letter," Ethan explained. "To you about everything. My regrets, my hopes, my promises. You don't have to read it now, but I wanted you to know how much you mean to me." Lily opened the envelope and skimmed the pages silently. When she finished, she looked up at him, her eyes shining with emotion. "Thank you," she said simply. "This means a lot." Ethan nodded, feeling a lump in his throat. "I'll keep trying, Lily. Every single day." "I believe you," she replied, giving him a hug. "And I'm glad you're here now." That moment solidified something Ethan had been searching for all along. Redemption. He couldn't change the past, but he could shape the future. For himself, for Lily, and for anyone else he touched along the way. Those scars remained. They no longer defined him. Instead, they served as reminders of the lessons he learned and the person he chose to become. As the sun set outside his window, Ethan felt a deep sense of peace. The road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but for the first time in years, he faced it with hope and determination. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew he wouldn't face them alone. Years passed since Lily's high school graduation, and her life moved forward quickly. College was challenging but exciting, just as she had hoped. She threw herself into her studies, spending long hours in labs and libraries, working hard to achieve her dreams. Her professors admired her dedication and her classmates respected her intelligence. To everyone who knew her, Lily seemed unstoppable. Ethan stayed involved in her life as much as she allowed. He visited her on campus occasionally, bringing care packages filled with snacks and handwritten notes of encouragement. They talked on the phone regularly, sharing updates about their lives. Sometimes they discussed big ideas, like space exploration and the future of technology. Other times, their conversations were simpler, focusing on everyday things like classes, friends, or movies. Despite their growing bond, Ethan never forgot how close he came to losing Lily forever. Every time she called him Dad or shared something personal, he felt grateful. He reminded himself daily not to take her trust for granted. It wasn't easy being a father after so many years away, but Ethan worked hard to be present and supportive. One summer, during a break from college, Lily invited Ethan to visit her at home in Texas. Mia still lived there, teaching at the same school where she had inspired countless students over the years. Ethan hesitated before accepting the invitation. He knew it might feel awkward to spend time with Mia again, but he agreed because Lily wanted him there. When Ethan arrived, he found the house unchanged, yet somehow warmer than he remembered. Photos of Lily lined the walls, capturing moments from her childhood to her college years. There were pictures of her playing soccer, posing in science fairs, and laughing with friends. Ethan noticed that some photos included him now, snapshots from family dinners or trips they had taken together. Mia greeted him politely when he walked in. "Welcome back," she said, her tone calm but distant. Ethan nodded, unsure what to say. Their history hung between them like a shadow, but neither brought it up. Instead, they focused on Lily, who bounced around the kitchen preparing snacks for everyone. That evening, the three of them sat on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Lily chatted animatedly about her plans for the upcoming semester, while Ethan listened intently, offering advice when asked. Mia joined in occasionally, sharing stories about Lily's younger years that made them all laugh. At one point, Lily turned to Ethan. "You know, Dad, you've changed a lot since we first met." Ethan smiled faintly. "I hope so. I've tried to." "You have," Lily said firmly. "And I'm glad. You're part of my life now, and that means a lot to me." Her words hit Ethan deeply. He realized then that forgiveness didn't happen overnight. It was earned through consistent effort and genuine care. Hearing Lily acknowledge his growth gave him a sense of closure he hadn't expected. The next morning, Ethan woke up early and went for a walk around the neighborhood. As he strolled past familiar streets, he thought about all the choices that led him here, the mistakes he made, the lessons he learned, and the relationships he rebuilt. He knew he couldn't erase the pain he caused, but he could continue making amends. Later that week, Ethan decided to do something special for Mia and Lily. He organized a small gathering at a local park, inviting a few close friends and family members. It was meant to celebrate Lily's achievements and thank Mia for raising such an incredible daughter. When they arrived, both women looked surprised but pleased. During the picnic, Ethan stood up to speak. Holding a glass of lemonade, he cleared his throat nervously. "I just want to say thank you to Mia for being the strongest person I've ever known, and to Lily for giving me a second chance." Everyone clapped, and Lily rolled her eyes playfully. "Dad, stop embarrassing me," she joked, though her smile showed she was touched. As the day went on, Ethan watched Mia interact with Lily and their guests. He saw how happy they were together and felt a pang of sadness for the years he missed. But instead of dwelling on regret, he chose to focus on gratitude, for the opportunity to reconnect, for the love they shared, and for the hope of a brighter future. After returning to Chicago, Ethan continued supporting Lily as she pursued her career. After graduating, she landed a job at a top aerospace company, designing parts for rockets destined for Mars. Watching her succeed filled Ethan with immense pride. He often told his colleagues about her accomplishments, unable to hide his admiration. In his own life, Ethan remained committed to helping others. He expanded his charitable efforts, funding programs that encouraged young people from diverse backgrounds to enter STEM fields. He also mentored students personally, offering guidance based on his experiences. These actions weren't just about redemption, they were about creating opportunities for others to thrive. One evening, as Ethan sat alone in his apartment, he picked up the framed photo of Lily from his graduation day. Looking at her smiling face, he reflected on how far they had come. From abandonment to reconciliation, their journey had been difficult but rewarding. Though scars remained, they no longer defined their relationship. Ethan opened his laptop and scrolled through recent emails from Lily. In one message, she wrote excitedly about a project she was leading at work. In another, she teased him about sending too many care packages. Each email reminded him of the connection they built, one conversation at a time. He closed the laptop and leaned back on the couch, feeling content. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. For the first time in years, Ethan believed he was exactly where he was meant to be. He had made mistakes, yes, but he had also learned from them. And through those lessons, he found purpose, love, and hope. Outside, the city lights twinkled against the night sky. Somewhere out there, Lily was dreaming of reaching the stars, and Ethan knew he would always cheer her on, no matter how far she soared.